What's going on, guys? I know right now lots of people are saying they're struggling to find deals. However, I think there are tons out there. You just have to be creative. So today we're going to show you how we landed this 8-unit apartment complex and how it's going to yield a 13% cash on cash return, and how we're able to get it for only 15% down. So let's jump into it. And if you stick around till the end of the video, you're going to get to see my wife Jess's reaction to one of the more gnarly apartments, and we're going to show you some of the finagling we did to be able to pull off this deal. First off, Idaho fall is here, but it's not going to last long, so we're soaking in this cozy clothes weather while we come and check out this property. This 8-plex has been funny because I've been pursuing it for almost a year now. A year ago, I put in my original offer. They started at $1.3 million, and in this property, they've got the 8-unit apartment complex. If you look over here, they also have an abandoned home, and then close to 2 acres that's approved for high density apartment complexes. And so we're gonna talk about how all of that pans out. But from the listing, I think a lot of people were scared away by all of the messiness of this property. And that's where I get excited. 1, to dive into the negotiations. 2, because I know I've got time for a lot of back and forth because we're not competing. And that gives me flexibility to make it a creative deal where I can win. Now, we have one of the units that we're gonna have to renovate down here. But before we do that, we wanted to see what Jess thinks of this abandoned house. I guess we had some people that kind of moved in, a bunch of homeless people. I think they're all out, but we're gonna go take a peek.
Hopefully they're out. I don't want to run into any homeless people.
We're gonna give you kind of a lay of the land, show you all that's included in this property, and then take you inside one of the units and break down the numbers. But first, you can see here is the abandoned home. Now, it's a really unique property because I think a lot of people that wanted to build on it didn't know what to do with the existing 8-unit apartment complex, and obviously would know they'd have to tear this home down. You can see there's been a lot of vandalism. They've got it boarded up, but I think they're still way inside on this other side. You want to lead the way?
I don't know where I'm going, but we'll figure it out. Starting off strong.
Yeah, I'll be honest, every time, that's new. Here. So I'm gonna be honest, every time I get to this point, I usually decide not to go in. I might just send the videographer in without us. What do you think, Tanner?
No.
So you can see this is a sketchy piece of property. If you wanna come in and take a nice long look. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Come look at this kitchen here. It is nasty, nasty. Oh, yuck. Did you just put your head in that? Okay. So you can see, yeah, the drywall's all torn up. I don't want to spend a ton of time in here. You can show in there just how nasty that is. Over here. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of you right now saying, Chandler, what on earth are you going to do with this? This is where we got a little creative and made this deal a big win. So, and we're not even going to walk this whole house. What we did is, this out here, almost 2 acres, is zoned for high density, which means you can put a lot of units in here. When we look, there is actually room to put in an additional 7 4-plexes in this land. Now, what we're going to do is tear this house down, but I'm not going to do it. I negotiated back and forth to get them on the 8-unit and this land all the way down to $935,000. Originally, they were at $1.3 million. Once we got them down there, they were super fed up with me, and that was after back and forth over the course of a year. The reason I finally got it under contract is I found a builder that wanted the land. So they're gonna be the ones that tear down the building. They're also gonna be the ones that take ownership of the land. What I did is I worked out a deal with the builder before the purchase ever went through on the 8-plex, the house and the land. And once I got it under contract at $935,000, I switched it with the sellers and I got them to agree to do the purchase all as one, but to break it up so the house and all of the land was in one purchase for only $30,000. I made it so that then the 8-unit apartment complex was under contract for $905,000. Now, I knew that I could get the appraisal on this eightplex based on the comps that are there at that price. So the majority of the price is in the 8-unit apartment complex. What I knew that the seller didn't know is that I already had a builder that had agreed at $200,000 to buy the land. I had another builder at $250,000 that was willing to buy the land. The builder agreed to sell me one of the fourplexes at a discount and potentially more of them, depending on how the project went. So now I immediately am able to flip this house and the land to the builder for $200,000. That puts me into the rest of the project only $735,000 for an 8-unit apartment complex that we're gonna run the numbers on. And that's not even including the fact that I'm gonna get a big discount on a new fourplex once we get it finished. So I had that all structured before we closed on the property. We're now flipping the house and the land, and now we're gonna show you what the numbers look like on this 8-unit apartment complex that I just picked up for only $735,000. All right, I brought Jess to see inside the house and one of the units. What do you think? You wanna see inside the house?
Well, that house is sketchy, but I'll look inside the unit.
Okay, let's do it. All right, while we're walking back over to the 8 units, one thing that I've noticed as a trend is lots of people are reaching out to me saying, Chandler, there's no way these deals are real, or you can't find those in my market. The market that I'm in right now is extremely competitive, and you just have to be creative. You have to find ways that you can add value or restructure deals or find seller financing. And this is one of those deals that I knew what this could appraise for, but I knew all of this was scaring people away from buying the eightplex. I also knew that builders were interested in all of this, but this was scaring the builders away because they didn't want to take ownership of an 8-unit apartment complex. And so when you can find these creative deals and you understand your market, that's where you can put phenomenal deals together. So let's go check this out and run the numbers on it. So really quickly, we're gonna do a lot on the outside. We're gonna get this grass looking nice. We're gonna clean up the exterior of the building. But really, I don't think I'm gonna be a ton of money into getting the exterior of this looking pretty darn nice. Now, when it comes to the inside, we already have 6 of the 8 units rented at an average of $950 per unit, which is really good. I think we can get somewhere between $1,100 and $1,200 if we get these units looking the way that they need to. But for my numbers to work, I'm just going to plan on $8,000. That's just $1,000 a unit. And at that, that's what lands us at the 13% cash on cash return, which is exceptional in this market. Now, a lot of these are already rented, which is really nice because cash flow wise, I'm already in a place where I'm breaking even or really close. And I told them to leave the units that came vacant empty so that we could fill them. The other thing that's exciting, and I don't think we're gonna be able to get in today because it's locked and we haven't gotten the keys yet, but one of the units upstairs they renovated, we're gonna be able to fill that right off the bat at $1,100 to $1,200. We've got the average of $950 on the units that are already here, and we're hoping to renovate these 2 units in the basement to where we can get them to the point where they're also renting at $1,100 or $1,200. So the $8,000 that we're planning on in cumulative rents is probably very conservative compared to what we're actually going to get, and even with that, it's that 13%. So let's go check out those units downstairs. All right, come on in. So you can see, Jess, first of all, what's your first impression of the smell?
Not great.
It's a combination of cat urine and feces of some kind. Hard to identify. So if you want to come in, this unit had the tenant leave and they had really torn it up. The owner had started trying to do some form of renovation in this one. I think you can see some stuff is torn up. Maybe they hadn't really started anything at all other than just cleaning up and getting stuff out. But if you look in here, the thing, first of all, I want to point out is I know right now it looks trashed, but this is a large kitchen for a 2-bedroom apartment. A lot of space. The other thing that I love that's really going to help rents is the fact that we have a dryer and a washer hookup over here. So if I had to guess, we're gonna see these cabinets. I don't love the shape that they're in. We'll see what Jace can do though. I'm going to assume he's gonna find a way to save them. If not, we might need to replace the cabinets. Honestly, countertops are in good shape. I probably want a different backsplash. I think that looks pretty ghetto. Most likely we're gonna need new flooring. We're going to need new paint. We're probably gonna need new fixtures and obviously new flooring throughout the entire unit. But if you come in here, you can see this is a really big living room for a 2-bedroom apartment in our location. You can also see in here that these bedrooms are really large as well. So by the time we fix this up, I think we're probably gonna be somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 on this unit. And we're gonna be able to rent it, like I said, $1,100, $1,200. I'm really gonna push for $1,200 because of the size, especially if we're able to get the exterior looking nice. And the nice thing for us, it's harder to fill units going into the winter, but when snow is on the ground, which is gonna be very soon, the exterior isn't going to play as large of a role on how the property looks compared to just getting, and when I say the exterior, I mean a lot of the landscape stuff we're gonna need to do in the spring. But if we can get the building spruced up, cleaned up, and then get this cleaned up, I'm pretty confident we're gonna be able to get at least $1,150 and hopefully closer to that $1,200. All right, once again, I want you to come in here. For a 2-bedroom apartment, this is a large bathroom. We're gonna have to replace this part of the vanity. This I think we can clean up, and then shower looks in pretty good shape. We just are gonna need new flooring and some paint, but this thing's gonna be awesome. And I have said it a lot, but the size of these 2-bedroom apartments is even bigger than I thought when I purchased them now that they're empty. And so I'm really excited to see what we get. So Jess, what do you think?
I think there's a lot of potential here.
Nothing but optimism. Okay, cool. Well, I wasn't gonna take you in the other unit, but we'll run it and we'll just give you a quick tour of that one too. All right, we're just about to get into this unit here, but one thing that Jess just pointed out, and we're gonna have to get the chalk and stuff cleaned up, but when you look at this in a Idaho winter, having access to come in and not be in the elements is actually a pretty cool upside here in Idaho. So I think that adds a lot to these basement units on top of the fact that they're just massive. See if I can get a door unlocked. There we go.
Nice work.
So this one is going to need paint as well, but again, really big kitchens. I'm really curious to see if he just replaces the handles and cleans up these cabinets and can salvage them pretty well. And the other thing that's really hard, and I know this is hard to understand if you're not into rentals, but this linoleum just lasts forever, and not seeing any major tears or issues with it, I wouldn't be surprised if Jace decides to clean it up and see how it looks before removing it and replacing it. With this carpet too, and again, this is something that I would say just replace it, but I've seen what, I'm coughing, one, because I have a cold, two, because the urine smell is actually pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
So we'll see if they can get it cleaned up. The carpet looks in good shape, but unfortunately it does smell pretty bad. Are you picking up on that too? My eyes are watering all of a sudden.
You're choking here.
I think it's the cold on top of the smell. Usually I'm not this soft, I swear. So we're probably gonna need some new baseboards, new paint. That cat or dog smell is really getting me in the back of the throat. Another couple big units, 2-bedroom. This room is a little bit smaller, and yeah, gives you a look. I don't think we're gonna have nearly as much money into this unit. And I know it sounds crazy, but I do think Jace is gonna find a way to salvage this carpet, just knowing how he does things and getting the smell out, which I'm always blown away by how good of a job he does on that. So you can take a peek in here. It looks like this flooring has been replaced somewhat recently. So again, some paint and touch up, but for the location and this property, I think very easily we should be able to get maybe $1,100 out of this one without putting a lot of money into it and getting it cleaned up and in good shape. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
I'm usually not this soft, I swear. This cold has me down.
Probably not as ready as you are.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna put some screenshots up here that I took already rather than running through all the numbers because I wanna make this quick. But when you do a purchase price of $905,000 and you plug in all of your expenses and the same rents, you end up with a 5.07% cash on cash return and needing $284,000 as a down payment to be able to purchase this property. Now, because we are selling the land for $200,000, it essentially restructures it, and I'm not even gonna talk about the upside or include it in the returns of what we're going to get the new fourplexes for and what putting in new buildings and what they're going to do when they develop this will do for the value of this property. We're just going to take off the $200,000 I'm selling the land for, which actually makes just this 8 unit have a purchase price of $735,000. That's gonna put you at a 13%, well, 12.96% cash on cash return. And that's only assuming $8,000 in rents, when realistically, I don't think 8,500 or even 9,000 is going to be unrealistic for where we're gonna be at in the next 1 to 2 years. All right, guys, we survived the tour. Sorry you had to put up with all of my coughing, but hopefully you enjoyed seeing the numbers and how we broke this deal down. We're gonna show you the finished product of one and maybe both of those units once we get them to that point, just so you can see what renovations we put in, how much those ended up costing. And I'm really excited to show you a video 1 to 2 years from now. Once the development's finished, that house is tore down, and we can see the final product of this property. But Jess, after walking it, what do you think?
I think it was a good deal. Excited.
The last thing I wanted to add, if you can get creative, you can pull off extraordinary deals, even when the market feels competitive. There are properties just like this selling at a 5.5 cap rate. The newer stuff selling close to a 5 cap rate here in our location. This is going to be at a 9 cap plus on this property, or really close to that once we're done, and get rents where they need to be. And so to be able to find a deal like that in this market is pretty crazy, and then to also open the door for some new construction projects that we might add to the portfolio down the road in the future is really exciting. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos.